Let me start by stating what this video isn't about. It's not about werewolves or skinwalkers or anything that's human or a humanoid that becomes a monster. I'm interested in the monsters that can become human. As the old saying about the glass being half full or half empty proves, there's more than one way to look at something. Is a Lamia matriarch a woman with a snake's tail, or a snake with a woman's face? Something cold and reptilian, something predatory that sees the mammals as nothing but prey. Something that can appear to be a blushing bride one moment and a lightning-quick, scaly killer the next. The class of monsters with the shape change ability or similar skill that allows them to walk among the ordinary folk wearing a human face deserve a special look. They deserve credit for the sense of paranoia and mystery they can bring to your next Pathfinder 1E adventure. But before we move on, if you'd like to take your game further, join the D6 Damage Discord. We have fantastic discussions about all aspects of the game, character builds, strategy guides, and much, much more. You'll find a link to our Discord in the description of this video. Now then, if you want to use shape changers to their full effect, it requires you to set the stage and do some groundwork and some careful planning. First up, you need the right kind of mission or campaign. If you want to throw a curveball at your party and enjoy a more thoughtful challenge, with players who are up for that kind of thing, players that enjoy a sense of mystery and danger that can come from an enemy that can strike from anywhere, this may be the kind of adventure you'd like to run. But if your party is primarily interested in combat or RP, it may not be what you're looking for. For players that are really just about the combat, there are going to be a lot more skill checks and atmosphere than they like. Also, RP-focused players may be disappointed as well, because there is a big dangerous something out there and they will need to deal with it at some point. Another thing you should think about is tone. The presence of shape changers can have a powerful impact on the atmosphere of a game and generate that eerie feeling of unease and paranoia. In order to achieve that, the monster has to be dangerous. Think of this as sort of a free-roaming boss fight. Whatever type of threat your players have to deal with, it has to be capable of putting up a serious fight once they find it. When used correctly, the emotional core is that feeling that there's something very, very wrong, because the threat your players are facing can come from anywhere. You'll also want to consider location. Shape changers can appear almost anywhere. Large settlements and cities have a big pool of potential victims and plenty of cover for your monster. Another good choice are isolated communities. Stumbling on a forgotten hamlet in the wild, or a lone, surprisingly well cared for inn deep in a swamp may make for a very tense investigation. Finally, you could encounter one of these shape changers in the wilds, where very few civilized people roam. Running into a lone orphan, desperate merchant, or fair maiden could land the party in mortal peril later that night. Another factor that will make your shapeshifter encounter really pop is the importance of ignorance. Nothing is quite as antithetical to the fear of the unknown than knowledge. Give your players hints, but the longer you can string them along, the better. Mangled bodies, unexplained disappearances, strange noises from seemingly empty houses, all of these clues can point the players in the direction that they need to go and give them a sense that something is off without spoiling the whole game. Another good trick is when you need to give answers, give more than one. As an example, they find a body drained of blood in the sewers. A knowledge check is made and it reveals that the culprit could be a giant leech, blood ooze, or a faceless stalker, but the decomposition is too far for them to be really sure. Finally, be aware of your player's toolkit. First up are skill checks. All the knowledge skills, along with perception and sense motive checks, will be valuable to your players. There are also spells that are perfect for this situation, such as True Seeing. If you want something straight out of the movie They Live, you might send your players into a community where more than one shapeshifter is lurking. There's also blood biography, particularly the question, what are you? A fun thing you could do with this spell is to give the shape changer oddly colored blood, to make it feel even more alien. Finally, there's the old standby, reveal true shape. Now, as incredibly useful as that spell is, it has some requirements, namely a 50 gold casting cost, which means the players can't simply test everyone in an area to find out who the shapeshifter really is. Now let's talk about some of the shape changers that you might want to throw at your players. First up, a classic, the Lamia Matriarch. If you're going for an attractive monster, luring poor fools to their doom, a Lamia is a great choice. They're also powerful in combat, and can magically compel lots of dangerous and capable underlings. Another good choice is Ketsune. I'd recommend doing some looking at the Korean cousins of the Ketsune, the Gumiho, known for eating hearts and livers of their victims. Also, because the Ketsune are a player race in Pathfinder 1e, you can easily add class levels such as Assassin, Mesmerist, Anti-Paladin, or Slayer. You could even add a template like Vampire to multiply the challenge that your players will have to deal with when they find the fox killing its way through the henhouse. Next up, Green Hags. With their ability to cast Alter Self at will, Green Hags have great potential to embody some folk horror vibes. As your party follows trails of breadcrumbs into the Black Forest, or finds that the kindly old innkeeper is planning on serving them for dinner. Next, there's Faceless Stalkers. The product of dark and eldritch powers, Faceless Stalkers are on the weak side, but because of their ability to remain in their assumed guise almost indefinitely, they're great for either long cons or showing up in large numbers. Just imagine finding out that a whole village has been secretly replaced by these eerie aberrations. Next, Rakshasa. Truly wicked individuals, either by the will of dark powers or the machinations of fate, can be born anew as the fiendish, beastly outsiders known as Rakshasa. And the ability to assume the form of any humanoid they choose is just one of the many abilities these formidable creatures possess. One thing I like about Rakshasa is the visual variety they have. Tiger-headed Rakshasa are the icons, but any animal of a fearsome or predatory aspect can be a Rakshasa. Some aren't even limited to one head. Just imagine the party following a trail of murdered scholars through a great metropolis to find an old bookshop, and then it's revealed that the elderly clerk is a two-headed vulture Rakshasa. Finally, there's Glabberzu. The demons of treachery are notorious for being able to become whoever they want, whenever they want. And when they're finally unmasked, they can put up one hell of a fight. One abyss of a fight? Never mind. These demons pair tremendous might, with a suite of spell-like abilities and formidable demonic resistance, and will be a great boss battle for any party. Now that you've got some good rules of thumb for planning out missions that involve shape changers, and a short list of monsters from the bestiary, I'd like to end by giving you some inspiration. First up, David Lynch's Twin Peaks. David Lynch is the master of the uncanny and bizarre when it comes to human behavior. This shows up a lot in Twin Peaks. And things just being a little bit off can be a great tell that there's something not right and not entirely human behind the eyes of seemingly ordinary NPCs. Another thing worth looking into are the works of Junji Ito. One of his reoccurring characters, an undead beauty with a massive body count, named Tomi, isn't a shapeshifter exactly, but her true disturbing nature is well hidden, for a while at least. Next up, Berserk. The apostles in service to the God Hand that Guts and his brother-in-arms, the Skull Knight, face off with, all have the ability to assume a human-ish form, along with their monstrous apostle form. And I do mean human-ish. Some of them just look strange. The slug count is a great example. I mean, sure, he looks human, but there's just something wrong with him. Now on to the grimdark future of Warhammer 40k. The flayed ones of the Necrons are the terror of many a guardsman, because they conceal themselves in the bodies left on the battlefield. Of course, there's also the Changeling of Tzeentch, one of the Great Deceiver's most favored minions. This daemon has the ability to assume the form of anyone, except Tzeentch himself. This allows the wily deceiver to spread terror and chaos across the galaxy, just as planned. Next, if you get the chance to check out the original Men in Black movie or the Men in Black animated series, you could see all kinds of great examples of strange otherworldly beings lurking among us. Most terrifyingly of all was the Edgar bug, which wore a poor farmer as a skin suit for most of the movie. Finally, if you only read one book that involves shape changers, I would recommend The Shadow Kingdom. This story, featuring the ancestor of Conan, Kull of Atlantis, sees the Great King facing off against the Serpent Men. Think of them as proto-Yuan-Ti, snake-like creatures with the ability to assume the form of anyone. And King Kull finds himself in charge of a kingdom that's been well and truly conquered by these creatures without them even knowing it. Thank you very much for watching D6 Damage. If you are interested in dice, books, or other gaming accessories, check out Noble Knight Games by following the affiliate link in the description of this video. And if you're interested in a good old-fashioned haunted house adventure, check out Sorceress: The Dietrich House, available right now on DriveThruRPG. An adventure for 4 level 3 characters.